Hello, everybody. I'm Jasmine. I'm from Birdie's marketing team, and thank you so much for joining us today for this How Birdie Helps with Auditing webinar. We've seen a lot of interest in this topic, and we are very excited that I think last we checked, over 570 people have signed up for this webinar. So whether you're attending this live or watching on demand, we hope that you will find this session helpful. I would love to introduce our speakers for today. We are joined by Danielle Roberts, who is an implementation and enablement manager here at Birdie. She brings 9 years of experience from one of the UK's largest private home care providers and has supported numerous franchises in refining their auditing processes. You may also recognize her from our recent How to Win Private Clients webinar, so definitely check that out. We also have Victoria Barnes Hudson. She's currently the registered manager at Be Cared For, and she has been with Be Cared for 8 years. We're really lucky to have her sharing her experience with Birdie and auditing on Birdie with us here today, and she'll introduce herself later when she's sharing. Moving into today's agenda, we'll start with a quick intro to Birdie and smart technology and then dive into auditing. So, in the next 50 minutes or so, we'll be focusing on client auditing for the session specifically within medication, care planning and delivery, call monitoring, and client satisfaction. We have a brand new ebook that will cover these sections more in depth, along with other areas like safeguarding, staff, and business compliance. Then we'll wrap it up with a few key takeaways, and if we have time at the end, we'll also have a short Q&A. So just a few housekeeping notes. We are recording this session. Please drop your questions into the Q&A box throughout the session. Whenever you have a question that comes up, we'll aim to get to them at the end. And a follow-up email will include this full recording and the helpful brand new ebook that I mentioned. So keep an eye out for that in your emails. And just a quick intro to Birdie if you haven't met us before. Birdie is technology that helps home care agencies work smarter, not just harder. So that basically means three things. One, get everything and everyone working together. So Birdie is a system that's built as one so that it works as one. Care management, scheduling, finance, and more all together in one system. Two, see everything, miss nothing. You can see your entire care operation at a glance with over 50 reports and 3 dashboards. You won't miss a single thing. Last but not least, three, there we go, never feel alone again. You're not going to be left on to just get on with it. You've got technical support that responds in less than 10 minutes and an advisor who will speak to you every quarter. Now looking at how Birdie actually supports you with auditing, Birdie automates evidence collection so that you're not digging through folders or chasing paper trails. Also, Birdie Analytics simplifies your reporting, making it easy to identify gaps and trends at a glance. Importantly, this all contributes to enhancing the quality of care, and Birdie's platform is designed to support you through the whole audit process, from medication to care delivery and beyond. So now I'll hand it over to Danielle, who will walk us through auditing on Birdie more in detail.
Thanks, Jasmine. Hi, everyone. I'm Danielle. Just before we begin, a really quick note just to say that this session is for informational purposes only and it is not legal advice. Whilst we have worked with care providers like yourselves to create this practical guide, which shows you how that Birdie supports auditing every step of the way. So now that we've covered that, we just want to launch a very quick poll just to see how confident you feel around your current auditing process. It should pop up for you now. Your answers are completely anonymous. It just helps us get a good sense of where everyone's at. So if you can go ahead and just click on how you feel, and we'll just give it a kind of about 20 seconds. Just click there and we'll just see.
All right, I think 100% of people have answered, so I'm going to end the poll right there.
Great.
Share
Perfect.
some results.
Great. Okay. So it's a good split, really. It's nice to see that we've kind of only got 9% like not confident at all, and quite a big chunk is like somewhat confident. So I definitely think the takeaways that you're going to get from this session should hopefully push a lot of people up into that very confident area, and the ebook will support you as well. So perfect. Okay, so let's explore Birdie's approach to auditing. It's not just box ticking, it's about ensuring quality, accountability, and most importantly, client safety and dignity. With rising expectations and tighter regulations, strong audits are no longer optional, they're essential. So at Birdie, we see auditing as a continuous loop. You want to plan, act, reflect, and improve. So here's a snapshot of like a typical annual audit calendar. We won't cover it in detail today, we just don't have enough time. But there is the auditing ebook that you'll receive straight after this. It shows how spreading audits across the year helps avoid burnout and maintain consistent oversight. So let's begin now with medications. This is quite a high risk category. So ensuring your audits are both consistent and detailed is essential in this area. So with Birdie, auditing medication becomes straightforward and effective. You can monitor medication alerts directly from your inbox, review email charts easily in your agency hub, and identify trends and issues using Birdie Analytics. Plus, with GP Connect, your team has access to real-time medical information, so you're always up to date with the latest prescriptions and changes from a client's GP, which historically can be quite difficult to try and get hold of without having something digital like GP Connect. And don't forget, you can review the medication assessments. They clearly clarify whether a person requires prompting, assisting, or full administration. This ensures that your whole team is providing the right level of support. So together, all of these tools will help you maintain your CQC compliance, you can identify trends, and most importantly, keep your clients safe. So let's take a look at how easily we can apply this in 3 key areas. So let's start with the inbox. You can keep an eye out for things like medication not taken or observation not received. These immediate red flags and show that you should be following up with them without any delay. You can check the client profile and navigate to the medication tab and have a look at the MAR chart, as well as using those weekly reports in Birdie Analytics. There's a specific report that I'll take you through today, which is the care delivery by client, which helps you track whether the medication outcomes are being recorded as you would expect. So as part of your audit, I want you to ask some critical questions. So are carers following the 5 rights of medication administration? And those 5 rights are the right person, the right drug, the right dose, the right routine, and was it the right time? And is there clear documentation of missed doses, refusals, or medication changes? And just be sure to record all of those findings as audit notes. It makes it super easy to kind of pull a report off later. So I'm going to go ahead and just give you a quick demo just of what I've been talking about today. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I think you should all be able to see that now. So first we're going to start with Birdie's inbox. Within the inbox, you're able to see kind of medication, and we're going to specifically have a look at some medication alerts today. So we're going to have a look here, and we're just going to filter on these. And we can see the alerts that have come through for our client. So we're going to look at Fern today. We can see for Fern that medication has not been taken. And what you would expect to do is really go ahead and deep dive into that, because that is a red flag around what's happening with this medication. If you want to take a closer look to Fern's MAR chart, you can go ahead to her profile, you can go down to medication, and under medication monitoring over here, you have the MAR chart. And we can see down here that there was a medication not taken. Our carer, Danielle, has put the reason as because the medication was missing and it wasn't at the property. So you can go back, you can view that report again, or you can go ahead and see the alert that was generated, and you can add notes, actions to follow up. So you can see here that I want to add a note to follow up. And then finally, if you're thinking, Danielle, I've got way too many clients to be able to look at them all individually, well, that's where Birdie Analytics becomes your best friend. The care delivery by client report on Looker, which is our Birdie Analytics platform. There's the medication monitoring area, and we're going to want to look out for clients that are not 100%. So then you can be able to go back and have a look to see further investigation as to what needs to be addressed. So now you can see that how Birdie can support a clear and structured approach to medication auditing. These features help you spot issues early, stay compliant, and make confident decisions based on real-time data. I'll kind of stop talking for a moment. I'll hand things over to Victoria, who's here to share some first-hand experiences with medication auditing at Be Cared For.
Hello, my name's Victoria. I'm registered manager for Be Cared For. I've been there since the start of the company, and we've been with Birdie since 2020, so 5 years, and we've sort of grown with Birdie. The Birdie and the analytics has really transformed how we audit and our ability to be able to give really in-depth audits that give CQC or the council exactly what they're asking for, but without having to do an awful lot of extra work because it's all there for us. So we use the daily inbox system. That's the brilliant way for things like changes in medication. We can do that live time. There's no delay in changes in call times, etc. We can also see if there's been any medications that are delayed or have been missed, which means that we've actually had no missed meds at all for the last 2 years since we started using the system, which is a massive green flag. We can also see on there whether somebody needs something reordering. For example, bank holiday Mondays. Pharmacies don't deliver on a bank holiday Monday, then they seem to forget to actually deliver the following week. So the carers being able to raise that lifetime means that we can sort that out on the day and get it sorted straight away. We've got the full paper trail there if we need to put a safeguarding in against a GP or against the pharmacy to cover ourselves in regards to that. The Q score and the medication section to put everything in one place. So you're not searching all over to find the information. You're not having to pull bits from everywhere. And the ability to drill down into the monthly audit and actually drill down per client means you can target specific clients. So if you've got a client that's refusing medication on a regular basis, it makes it a lot easier to be able to pull that data and then go back to the GP, go back to the social workers and ask for a review in regards to the medication, the medications that they're taking. The plus point for the local authority and for CQC is that you can use the client feed audit function to actually show evidence that you've actually done your auditing. And as part of the system becoming so simple for us, we actually are able to audit all of our clients every month. So there's none of this, oh, you need to 25%. It's so easy to do every client. And the local authority and CQC really like that. We've had the prompts within the action section as well. So we have no missed meds reviews. So it automatically tells you when your medication reviews are up, which we may remember for clients that have got a lot of changes. But if you've got a client that's consistently on the same medication, etc., it's easy to miss them having their medication review. So that actually prompts you to do that. And you've got that evidence trail because it's automatically documented when you've done it and it's all there. We've just in the last 3-4 weeks had both our PAMS inspection and our iTool kit inspection, so from 2 different authorities. And on both of those inspections, we got an excellent, which is the equivalent to CQC outstanding on medications, just down to the fact that we were able to evidence the auditing that went on and the depth of the auditing that we could do. And it wasn't that we were having to spend hours and hours doing it. We were able to do it just by the click of a button, taking a look, pulling the information. It's all there for you. And because it's embedded in the system, it can't be changed, it can't be altered. There's no question about whether it's fact or fiction. It's there and it's legally documented.
Amazing. Thanks so much, Victoria. Great news on your PAMS audit. Congratulations. That's fab. Okay, we're going to move on now. We're going to take our attention to care planning audits, which is a critical part of ensuring care is safe, person-centered and fully compliant. So a strong care planning audit should ask the right questions. Are the care plans accurate, up to date, and do they genuinely reflect the client's current needs? Are you meeting CQC standards and legal requirements, and have all potential safeguard and risks been clearly identified and properly mitigated? And just as important, your audit should have a clear, traceable record. That way, if questions arise later from families, professionals, regulators, you're able to confidently show what was done, when it happened, and why those decisions were made. So how do you actually audit care plans using Birdie? So you're going to start by heading to our care plan section and look for evidence of recent reviews, updates that reflect medical changes and alignment with clients' current and evolving needs. It's also important to conduct service reviews, making sure that changes in a client's health conditions, medication, care requirements are clearly reflected in those care plans. And you can use Birdie's workflows, which will keep you on track because each workflow is triggered by a specific event, whether that is a new referral, a hospital discharge, and it automatically generates a set of actions that need to be completed. This ensures that you never miss a step in the care planning process. Next, check the assessments report. It gives you a quick overview of which assessments are up to date and which ones that need to be reviewed. And finally, don't forget to use the client and carer feeds. These provide a real-time documented trail of changes and communications. So if questions come up, you have a clear time-stamped evidence showing what was changed, why, and when. So I'm going to go ahead and give you another walkthrough now and just show you that in practice. So today we're going to go ahead and look at our lovely client Fern again. So we're going to go to her profile and we're going to look at the care plan area and the Birdie's 8 initial assessments. You can see, if I drill into some of these, how they are built as assessment style structures. So it makes it easy for you to capture the information and you don't have to remember what the next question should be based on the response that you've just been given. And so you can also keep these up to date and accurate by using the auditing documents section. So you have some pre-filled out forms for service reviews and also for client feedback, next day courtesy calls, 2-week courtesy calls, and it helps you keep track and remind you to review actively to ensure that you're always staying compliant. And that's how you can carry out through a thorough kind of care plan audit using Birdie. And just to bring it to life, I'm going to hand it back over to Victoria, who'll share how Be Careful approaches care plan audits in practice and how Birdie has supported with that. So over to you, Victoria.
Hi, so I'm back again. Sorry, I hadn't unmuted there. So in regards to care planning, this is really very clear to audit. So what we do is we use the Q score initially on a monthly basis, and we also use something called the Pulse dashboard, which I think Danielle's going to go into very shortly. And the Pulse dashboard really does give you every bit of information that you need in one place. So basically, we're having a look at which care plans have been completed, which are coming up for being outdated. Are the field managers completing the care plans as they should do? Have they got any details missing? So it means that our compliance team can actually check that field managers completing the role, and therefore with a knock-on effect to that, making sure that the clients actually do have the correct care plans in place. The fact that you can be so detailed as well within the Birdie care plans is a real plus point. You can really evidence that person as an individual. There's so many different options available to personalise those plans with the additional points of the care plan that you can actually bring in as well, which means that there's no areas that go missed. And especially with things with the risk assessments actually being all part and parcel of that care plan section, you've not got separate risk assessment sides. It's all there in one space, clearly documented. And as they've done the reviews, not only is it logged within the system, but it clearly shows that on each of the clients' care plans as well. And it actually tells you them what has been changed and what's been updated. Um, it takes tasks away from the inspectors needing to cross-check everything as well. And they really, really did find it beneficial in the recent inspections that they weren't having to go from paper to digital to this area to that area. It's all in one place. And when you click on one part, then you can then drill down to an individual of their choosing. And within that individual, you can then access everything you need to know. So it's a straightforward step by step that you need to follow. And it means that you can really, really evidence everything without having to cause extra work for yourselves.
Thanks so much, Victoria. I just love hearing your real life experiences and how you use the product. I think that's really great. So now we're just going to move on to the next section, which is auditing care delivery itself. So to do this effectively, you need a lot of set of eyes because you want to keep clear visibility into what's happening on the ground every day, which can often be quite difficult if you're not looking at the right area. And the reason why is because you want to be confident that the care is being delivered safely and as planned. So this is where Birdie's care management pulse dashboards that Victoria mentioned comes into play. There's 3 pulse dashboards in total. Each have been developed in close partnership with care agencies to highlight metrics that matter most. So for today, we're going to focus on Birdie's care management pulse dashboard that covers visit management and client assessments, and everything that your team needs to monitor daily care delivery is now available in one easy place. So let's take a look at Birdie's pulse dashboard and the key reports for auditing care delivery in real time. The pulse dashboard shows you vital metrics like visit punctuality, task completion, and miss outcomes, with geolocation check-ins and visit notes for full visibility. The planned versus actual report helps ensure that visits happen on time and for the right length, reducing missed or delayed care. The Care Delivery Trends report tracks performance weekly, covering punctuality, medications, and observations. And together, these tools help you spot issues fast, improve care quality, and stay compliant. Plus, Birdie's Q score tracks your progress, but we'll have a little bit more on that next. So I'm going to go ahead and show you the Pulse dashboard today. Here we go. So let's take a closer look at how you can use the Care Management Pulse dashboard in practice. The Care Management Pulse dashboard delivers critical care metrics at a glance, helping you improve service quality while working smarter with your data. This visit punctuality section for call monitoring helps keep you informed of care delivery in real time. And as I mentioned, so we'll go down to this section here, which is what I'm talking about, visit punctuality and call monitoring. And so Birdie tracks geolocate and verifies check-ins, make sure that people have checked in the right area. It also tracks visits, outcomes, and notes. And this comprehensive view ensures that clients receive their care as planned, and we're meeting any contractual obligations as well. So Victoria, I know you've already talked a little bit about the Pulse dashboards, but do you want to build on how you use them in your operation?
Yes, so the Pulse dashboards for us are an absolute game changer when it comes to your monthly reports. So the CQC capacity tracker, your local authorities monthly submissions, or even your KPIs for the director. The actual Pulse dashboard has everything there that you need. So filling in the capacity tracker, it's literally a case now of clicking onto the Pulse dashboard and all your figures are there. And because it can also be altered for different areas, so ours covers 2 separate local authorities, and to do each of the separate local authorities, we just put in the filters for which one we want to actually be looking at the figures for, and then we can populate that information. So there's no more jumping from one screen to the next, working out how many visits, etc., etc. It's all there for you. The other thing that we really use this system for to do the Q scores. We actually use the care delivery by carer weekly as well. And we were given a target by our councils to get the care visit lengths to 85%. Now we know CQC is 75%, but the council wanted 85%. And we needed to be able to document that and actually be able to, on a weekly basis, give them the figures of how long our carers were staying in calls. Now, one thing we did find with this system was it was very easy to do. We could pull up on a Monday the care delivery by carer. That will give us a complete list of exactly what each carer's percentage was for the week before, for punctuality and for call length. We could then put that in descending or ascending order to see which of the carers weren't actually able to comply with those visit times. Now, to stop the sort of like, oh, it must be the carer's fault situation, which can come in, we were then able to bring the carers in individually, drill down into their individual name, and that brought up all of their calls for the week. So when we could sit down with the carers and go through all the calls, we could start seeing trends and patterns in regards to, some of the clients didn't require that length of time. So therefore, it was knocking the figures out and causing them an issue with getting the percentages up. But it also meant that we were wasting resources. So it gave us the clear evidence that we needed then to go back to the local authority and go back to the social workers and ask for reviews based on the fact that we could prove that that call time wasn't needed, or if more was needed as well, because it does show the overrun as well. And because of that, we've got our the visit lengths now up to 94%, which is phenomenal. And we tried and tried and tried to get carers to increase the call lengths, but we are well above now where we need to be. And that's because the carers themselves can see and they can understand exactly where the issues are, and we can be proactive rather than reactive and work smarter, not harder, in actually making sure that our call timings are correct for each of our clients. And if there is an issue with an individual carer, we can tackle that through supervision, and we can nip that in the bud straight away.
Amazing. Thanks so much, Victoria. I have like a special place in my heart for the Pulse dashboards. I think they're super, super helpful. So it's great to hear how they're being used out in practice. So just very kind of quickly, we want to launch a poll here just to gauge from our current Birdie partners that are on the call today. We'd love to get an answer like, what's your current experience with Birdie Analytics? Again, it is completely anonymous. It's just a really good gauge for us here at Birdie on how they're performing. So I'll just give it a couple of seconds. Cool. Okay. I think we'll call it there on that. I'm going to end that poll. Great. So again, like another mix. I have access but haven't used it much. Maybe after today, you might go ahead and explore some of the reports that we're talking about in the ebook. There's plenty of links as well. So if you're thinking, Danielle, you've gone through so much today, I'm never going to remember what you've talked about. It'll all be kind of linked and mentioned in the ebook that you'll get after this call. So don't worry about that. Cool. Thank you so much for that. Great. So now let's have a little think about call monitoring and what those audits might look like. So these audits ensure professional communication between carers, clients, and office staff. They play a key role in safeguarding client well-being by tracking check-ins, reporting any concerns, and verifying that care visits have been scheduled. So call monitoring audits also support staff performance reviews by identifying training needs, helping to continuously improve the quality of care that your team delivers. So effective alert management is key to delivering high quality care. Alerts keep you informed in real time about any issues, enabling you to respond promptly to critical situations. So your alerts appear in your inbox, just as we kind of had a look at for the medication section, and then you can act on them in real time, it live, monitoring it in your agency hub, looking out for urgent calls and notifications that are coming through. So there's plenty of kind of inbox alerts that can come through, but just for the purposes of call monitoring, the ones that you want to look out for are forced check-in and check-outs, visits not started in time, typically with a threshold of about 15 or 30 minutes, which are all configurable in your Birdie agency settings, and then any concerns that have been raised by your carers that are out in the field. So I'll show you today, we've already gone through and had a look at what the product looks like from an alerts perspective. So today I want to demonstrate the Birdie Q score. So another great report that we can look at. So call monitoring is a huge factor of the Birdie Q score. And so we'll go down and we'll have a look at that. And it plays a major factor in CQC ratings as well, which is why it's so important and builds a big picture in this Q score summary. So the Q score measures how well your agency delivers safe, reliable care by combining key data like visit punctuality, call monitoring, care outcomes, and compliance, and provides you with a personalized score out of 4. So we can see that our demo hub here is not doing that well. So we definitely want to take some actions away from this Q score and go and figure out like what things we can implement in our business to kind of really raise that score over the next couple of months. So for today, it focuses around the call monitoring area, which has a look at some certain data points, which are percentage of scheduled visits completed by carers. And there's another report that you can drill down into that information for. There's a percentage of visits starting within 15-minute threshold and a percentage of visits lasting at least 75% of that scheduled duration. So we can see here and how that all feeds into the overall score. There's a drill down for all of this information, so you can create action plans off the back of what the data is telling you. And then again, I'm going to hand back over to Victoria, who'll give you some kind of real life examples of how you use that in your business, Victoria.
Okay, so the key score for us is something that we absolutely love. The first of every month, it's Q score day to find out where we're at. Because we're pushing we're 4 for 4 in every area. We've actually got 2 areas that we're still pushing for 4 in, but every other area we're 4. And it's really important to be able to look at your successes and to look at, how well you are doing in those areas so that you're looking at tackling the areas where you can see a bit of improvement needs to be done. So the alert responsiveness is great because that obviously is giving a clear indicator of how fast the whole of the team is actually responding to the alerts, to the concerns, etc. And then we've got the concerns, compliments, and complaints. So that's all in the Pulse dashboard as well. It gives full ability and the ability to download an Excel spreadsheet. So one of the best things is when we drill down into something, you do get the option to download it to an Excel spreadsheet. So if you do need to send it to the local authority or for a CQC inspection, etc., and they don't want it just on the screen, you can export it. And once you've exported it, of course, you can add your own trends and themes, etc. So that really, really helps for us as well. Everything's dated, it's all detailed, and it means that you can use it for your staff supervisions to make sure that they're productive and time managed. It is all about working smarter, not harder. And it's all about working with fact-based information. And that Q score page in itself does give you, although it's once a month, a really clear indicator of where you're currently sitting and exactly where you need to be focusing more time to be able to improve further. So it's a really good oversight over the whole of the company in regards to what needs to be targeted in that particular month.
Yeah, totally agree with all of those points, Victoria. I think the Q score is a great KPI that can be kind of used with your teams, give them access to this data and kind of use it month on month just to improve the services that you offer. Okay, so next, let's take our attention to client satisfaction audits. So these audits are all about understanding how well your service is being received and whether clients feel safe, respected, and supported. With Birdie, the client feed lets you see all care information from an individual in one central place, giving you a complete view of their experience. So I'm going to demo the Birdie again, and today I will take you through. We're going to go ahead and look back over here. And so what we will do is we'll take a look back at Fern again. There we go. Okay, so be sure to review your notes area. Within the client feed here on the left-hand side, there's a couple of sections you can look at. And for today, the purpose of this, we're going to have a look at the notes area. And we're going to look out for any notes that have compliments or complaints on them. And if we see here that actually we've had a really nice compliment from a family member, and Tim is reliable, kind, and always goes the extra mile. And then if you like capture those through, every day, or when you get them, or you want to be able to surface that, remember all of that data is pushed into our Birdie analytics, so we can go ahead and take a look at the notes report. And here you can see categorized in those note types, which is why it's really important to use those specific note types. And you're able to really kind of drill into those. You can see the note types that have been created and pull off a report and evidence that directly to the CQC. And this creates a structured, evidence-based approach to continuous improvement of the care that you're delivering. So now we just want to pass over to Victoria and hear a bit more about how you handle client satisfaction.
Okay, so with client satisfaction, we use all of the ways that Danielle has just said. It is much easier to be able to collate together your complaints and your compliments. It's really easy then to, like I said, to export them on Excel, to actually look for trends and themes and give that evidence-based Excel spreadsheet. But one thing we do use it for is to make sure that we don't have to now pull out the paper client satisfaction. So it takes away the need for us to send out all the questionnaires, go out with the paper questionnaires, wait for them all to come back in. Are they going to come back in? It's all built within the system. So therefore, that saves an awful lot of time, because obviously once you've filled the boxes in with the system, it will then populate your Excel spreadsheet in the matrix for you. So we found that to be a massive plus. As well as that, it means we can do them constantly throughout the year. As we know, all clients are unfortunately time limited on the whole if we're dealing with elderly clients. Therefore, you may not have some of your clients for that full year. They may, you're missing really good chunks of information. So by continuously doing the quality assurance checks and doing the assurance checks with the individuals, you're giving a much broader picture that you can evidence. And it also shares a much more caring service as well. So that's something that the clients really get from it, is that you are making constant contact with them at whatever scheduled time you want to do. You're making contact with them. They know they've got the confidence then that they can come to you if there's an issue and that it'll be dealt with. So it gives a much more rounded picture that's not just a snapshot once a year or once every 6 months. So that again means that we're saving time. And with that, the amount of things that we have to do as register managers, so as compliance, time is of the essence, and anything that will help us give very good, clear data that is accurate, that saves us time, is really important. Thank you, Danielle.
Thank you. Just going off mute here. Thanks so much for sharing, Victoria, your experience with client satisfaction auditing. I'm just going to quickly wrap it up. In conclusion, here's how Birdie can support you in your auditing journey. We provide comprehensive tools to streamline audits, real-time monitoring and reporting so that you can act fast, evidence-based insights to drive quality improvements, and ongoing support and resources every step of the way. Ultimately, it's about making auditing easier, more effective, and more impactful for your team and the people that you care for. So now we'd love to hear from you. Let's move into the Q&A. We have a few questions in which we can take live, but feel free to drop in your questions in the chat if you haven't already. These can be directed to Danielle, or even while we have Victoria here, she can maybe share even more about her experience. So yeah, let me pull up the questions. Oh, wrong screen. Oh, so sorry, everybody. Oh, that's the wrong screen. Apologies. I'm just going to stop sharing now. Q&A. Danielle, do you want to maybe pick some of the questions that we're seeing here?
Sure. I
Um,
think the first one that I've got is from Rianne, and it's just about like how do you evidence without an audit document? So within that client feed that I just mentioned, where you can log note types for compliments, there's also an audit note type that I recommend that you use. You can also pull that off the audit, off the notes report as well, to be able to evidence the audits that you've been completing for your clients. There isn't a generic, one big audit document. That's something that you should build as part of your own business operations if you wanted to have a look on scale at all of your clients. So there's just the individual based one. I hope that helps.
We've also got a question on, is there a link for the Looker reports in browser instead of just going off and searching in emails?
Yeah, I think we've linked them all in the ebook. So any reports that we reference, it should link straight out to Looker, which is the Birdie Analytics platform that I showed you today. So you'll be able to just look at that, click on it, and it'll take you to the report that we're talking about.
And then I think this was back in maybe the first demo that we had done, which I know was quite rushed. So maybe we could pull that up again in terms of um, where we're clicking after selecting the client before clicking the medication link. If you want to share screen. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. So I'll just go through the steps again. You can navigate a client in two different ways here. So we're going to pick Fern again. You could click here, and this will take you through to Fern's profile, or through the client section here. You're able to also, oops, just search for your client, and we can see Fern comes up. And so I just looked at the inbox for medication, and the alert came up. And then what you also can do is, once you're in the client's profile, there's a tab on the left hand side called medication. You can click on that, and you can click into medication monitoring, which is the MAR chart in real time. So if you click on there, and a little bit like Blue Peter, what I did earlier was I'd already preset an alert to come through. And I can see here that on the MAR chart, there's a flag for not taken. So you can click on that, and you can see the results that were entered by the carer on their app and submitted to you. And we can see that actually our carer has reported that this medication, the paracetamol for Fern, on this visit was not taken. And why was that? What was the reason? Well, the medication was missing. And then Danielle has left us a note to say that the medication was not at the property. So that's going to come through as an alert that's been generated, which takes us back through to this inbox phase page. And then see here on the right hand side, that's the alert. Here's the information that we just saw in that MAR chart. And you can go ahead and you can say, this is quite, it could be high severity because actually the client really needs to have this medication, or it could be medium. You're able to leave comments. So remember how I talked about how an audit trail is really important. You might remember today what's happening with this, but in a month's time, when actually maybe you want to do an audit or a regulator comes in, you're going to want to know what happened with this medication. So we can see that we contacted the family. They're going to drop off some paracetamol this morning, which will be there by the next visit, so the client won't miss the medication. And then there's an action here, which was to get somebody to call the family. And then what you can go ahead and do is just resolve that alert and save it, and that'll clear it off. So I hope that demo is a bit slower. I'm sorry if I sped through it on the first part.
Thank you so much for walking us through that, Danielle. Let's see some of the other questions that we had. I think someone was maybe also looking at the care planning tab section. Maybe if you want to pull that up. Thulani, feel free to kind of type in the chat anything else specific you were looking for during that time, whether it was Let's see. In care plans.
Yeah. So we had the care planning section here. I talked about the 8 initial assessments that should be completed for all of your clients. If you click into one of those assessments, so let's just say we're going to review one that's already been built. We can see that it's an assessment style question. It's not just a big free text box. And that's because every time you answer, it will bring up additional questions to answer as you go through that consultation. So that's the care planning area. And I also talked about the auditing documents as well, which are down here. So service reviews, client feedback, courtesy calls, very similar setup to the care plan area where it is just preset questions and boxes for you to fill out. So I hope that helps.
Yeah, they were also asking, I just found, scroll down in their question. When you click client on Birdie, then go to care plan, then there are 3 tabs or so. How do we get those tabs on Birdie? So there might be a feature access.
Yeah. Yeah, it might be good to know like just a bit more information. Um, if you are a partner of Birdie already, just reach out to your customer success manager, customer success team, and they'll be able to just talk you through what you have available as part of your package. If there's some stuff here that you think looks really great and you'd like to upgrade, then that's definitely a conversation that we can have.
Great. And then we've got kind of like a general question of how do we push our plans from a Q score of a 4, as some people might be a 1 or 2. Do you have maybe some general advice or maybe key areas to look at? Oh, Victoria.
Yeah, let's let Victoria take that.
Yeah, yes, please.
Okay, so with the care plans, the easiest way to do that is when you actually going onto the Pulse dashboard, is to look at what needs completing. That will tell you everything you need to know. You need to then drill down into it because it's really important that you do ensure that every box is filled in on each of those 8 essential parts of the care plan. And if you've opened up any extra assessments as well, they do need to be completed. But then they also need to be reviewed on a regular basis. So the idea of the Pulse dashboard is it will give you the timescales of when you need to be looking at those reviews. And even if it's a couple of days out of date, you're going to lose the score on that. Quite rightly so. And it's the same in regards to tasks, etc. You need to make sure your tasks are valid, that they've all got personalised notes. If they've not got personalised notes for the individual and you just click the task and put it on, you're going to lose points because it has to have the personalised notes for the individual. But it does tell you within the dashboard exactly what you need to do. And if you're not sure at all, then your Birdie individual that's looking after you will more than happily go through it with you. And they did with us at first because we were getting very frustrated because everything was up to date, but we weren't pushing up from the 3 to the 4. Um, and they were able to tell us exactly what it was. And now it just becomes something we do every month. So it is easy. There's just a lot of initial work.
Great. Thank you, Victoria. I don't know, Danielle, if there's anything else you want to add on that for Q score. Great. We can move on I know there's quite a few questions. We're probably not going to be able to get to all of them, so we'll send a follow-up. But let's see. Is there another question, Danielle, you'd like to take just down the Q&A line? Maybe from Paul or Lou. With audits, is the criteria already preset? For example, team member files. How do we ensure that we have all the information needed?
Sure. So I can go ahead and show you that today. So it is kind of preset for the information that you might want to capture. So if we go ahead here and under the onboarding area, you can kind of fill out some key information around like right to work, employment, and you can also upload those documents as well. And so you can upload them. You can, if you have the workflows as well, you can set them up as expiry documents. So we know that insurances expire every year. You can set that up as a reminder. It will create an action like it will with the service reviews to be like, hey, in a couple of weeks' time, this carer is not going to have their insurance on the car, which means that they won't call you like one day before their visit to let you know, I can't go and do my visits tomorrow, I've got no insurance, because you would have chased them in advance. So it is preset in a way. You obviously want to make sure that that backs up your own business operations and kind of what information you want to capture from a legal and a regulated perspective. But there is a lot of areas for you to fill out on Birdie already.
Thank you, Danielle. Trying to find some questions for Victoria. There are a few in here. Just want to, while we have her here, let's see.
Just done one on regards to do we use first person or not. And within our care plans, we were advised to use their individual names and not the I format because the way that the care plans are formatted, using the name actually does make it more personalised, which doesn't seem right, but it is right. And it makes a much better read. So it'll be in line with what the social workers write or what the care plans that come from the social workers actually show as well. So we've been advised to use the name rather than the I.
Thanks, Victoria. There's a lot of questions about Pulse dashboards as well. Someone's asking, can we see how to drill down on the Pulse dashboards and kind of see what Victoria's talking about? Danielle, I'm not sure if we're able to do that on our demo environment to actually drill in, but if you have any kind of just advice on
Yeah,
really how to
sure.
drill in.
I don't know how nice the data will be, but if you can see here, every time you hover over something and it becomes underlined, that basically means that there's a drill down, and you're able to pop it up like that. There probably won't be any data in here just because it's a demo environment, but it'll pop it up in a table format. And then so if we go in here, if we give it a couple of minutes, there we go. And we can see here now you get the username, the client name, the visit date, and here's all the information about the visit starting within, and that covers what the metric was talking about. So if you want to drill in and just get more information, anytime there's an underline, you're able to actually get more data by clicking on that and it'll pop out into another box.
Great. Thanks for walking us through that, Danielle. Um, Another question from Lou. Is there a way when auditing tasks to get the care comments to come up like they do for the EMAR audits?
So I don't think right now that that data point pulls through into analytics. I think you need to think a little bit about how your carers are recording their general note and observations. So the notes on the tasks individually should really be surfaced in that general notes and observations area. It's much easier to report on, it's much easier to audit, and actually allows the carer to really paint a story about what's happened in that visit. It goes down much better with a regulator as well. So just, I think, maybe have a think about how your carers are actually providing those visit notes to you in the first place.
Great. And then I'm just going to quickly blanket answer a few questions that are about like features we're not seeing in our Birdie account, like tags and let's see, client feedback option. Similar to what Danielle was saying earlier, would recommend contacting your customer success manager so you can check on which plan you're on and how you can get access to some of those features. We've got 3 minutes left, so we'll see if we can take a few more questions. This has been great for Q&A, interactive session. Let's see. How do you deal with tasks that are not completed on every visit? Is there a way of indicating reason why the task wasn't completed? For example, maybe they completed 5 out of 8 tasks that were scheduled.
Victoria, do you wanna answer this one? How do you deal with that?
Okay, so when we deal with that, that is literally down to your notes section for your carers, unfortunately. I mean, there may well be a way within the analytics, but your notes need to be showing that those tasks haven't been completed. Um, and tasks completed do pull through. They do pull through on the Pulse dashboard and on the Q score summary when you're bringing through looking at your care plans, etc. But in regards to actually being able to show that you've looked at them, it is down to the notes section by the carers, and them actually stipulating or you raising the fact that they haven't completed all the notes. Am I right, Danielle?
Yeah, that's right. And there's also the like essential task feature. So if you have a task that must be completed, actually, if you mark it as essential, the carer can't move beyond that point before they've given a reason as to why that task hasn't been actioned during that visit. So maybe have a think about the severity of that. What would happen if that task wasn't completed? Does it need to be essential? So the carer has to give you a reason as to why they haven't done it.
Great. I'm just gonna take one more question. Um, from Rianne, how would the competency of the person auditing be measured if just using the client feed?
Um, I'm just gonna get like gauge what you mean by that, Rianne. Like, if it's okay, so you want to audit the audits that your team are doing potentially as a registered manager. So if all of your team are creating their audit outcomes as an audit note type in those client feeds, you can lift all of those notes in one big export on Looker, and you can see from a bird's eye view all of the audit notes that have been created and the outcomes by your team. And then you can validate whether they have the right capabilities, or do they need to be upskilled or training. So you've still got that registered manager overview if they're all logging it in the consistent way. I don't expect you to go into every client and like drill in to try and see what they're kind of creating. Use the notes report for it. Make sure the whole team are using the audit note type, and that makes your job much easier.
Great. Thank you so much, Danielle. That wraps up our Q&A. I'm just gonna finish with a thank you. I'm just cognizant of everyone's time. For more information, you can find out more about Birdie at birdie.care or flock.care. That is our free, fastest growing online provider community. Um, Again, if you have any questions, please feel free. You can book a demo or reach out to your customer success manager to learn more about how Birdie helps with auditing and more. Thank you, everyone. Hope you have a great rest of your day and keep an eye out for an email with the recording and brand new ebook. Bye, everyone. Stop share.